Hello, everyone. Welcome to Snap Take. This is Glazer of Snap Judgments, the official podcast of Marvel Snap Zone. We've got a huge video for you this morning, another one coming later today. Then we've got our Black Knight stuff tomorrow, and we've got for our anniversary two huge things for you. One, we're going to be doing a giveaway later this week of some of the anniversary packs, so if you want that, make sure you're subbed. Two, we've got the best guest, the biggest guest on the Snap Judgments podcast ever. We've got Glenn Jones coming on. So make sure you stay tuned for that. Make sure you're subbed so you don't miss out. What we need to talk about today, though, is Lamby hosted a 300 player tournament. Every player brought 2 decks. It was completely closed deck list in Swiss, and then in the cut, it became open deck list for those 2 deck lists. We're going to look at the top 4 players' decks, which means 8 decks. We're going to do a full deck guide for both of the winners' decks. It's Evazord, Eva, who came in second last week in the Major Team Impulse Tournament, won this week completely undefeated. So we're going to take a look at all those decks. That's today's video. Later today, we have 2 more really great decks for you. Let's get started. But before we do, please hit that sub button. We bring you at least 2 brand new decks every weekday. We bring you content that no one else in Marvel Snap is doing to help you get infinite, to help you snap, to help you make better decisions with your tokens. Everything you could possibly need from Marvel Snap you can get from this channel. Hit that sub button, like, comment, help us out. We'll do our very best to bring you everything you need for Marvel Snap. The deck credits for today's decks, we've got the winner, Evazord. We're going to cover Eva's decks last. You can find Eva at the following links. Mayhaps was the second place player. Mayhaps is someone I'm not familiar with. They are from Budapest, according to their Twitter profile, so very cool. The Rakosako, time to call Rakosako one of the better players after the SnapCon win, and then the amazing third place finish here. And in 4 is the Mysterious Wizard. Neither Lamby nor myself had any extra info on Wizard, including a Twitter handle, so Wizard was the 4th place player. In the description to this video, if you want to see all the decks in the top 8, we've also got 2 brand new Johnson Thanos lists that I'm sure we'll end up covering on this channel relatively soon. Make sure you hit that in the description too. Wizard's top 4 deck, the first of them is the most standard deck of all. It is the basic version of Shuri Red Skull. Or Shuri Sauron or Sauron Red Skull. You can call it whichever version of that you want. There is exactly one strange choice here. It is armor. Excuse me. Armor is not always in these decks. Whoa, that's not what I'm trying to say at all. That's amazing. Sorry. My neck started to hurt, so when I went to crack it, I misspoke. Luke Cage is the strange choice here. Luke adds an extra ongoing into this deck, which is not always a benefit to the deck. Because like a 2/2 after a Sauron is an actively terrible card, and that's what Luke becomes. So that means you either don't see Sauron or you have to play Luke on 2. When you see him, he is great. Shadow King is a major part of the meta, and Luke shuts that down, along with giving you some play into specific locations. Armor stops Shang-Chi, right? But does nothing for Shadow King, meaning that your Red Skull or whatever other card can be shrunk and terribly, particularly your Taskmaster, right? If your Taskmaster can't be shrunk thanks to Luke Cage, that makes the card worth it, but it is dangerous. Everything else here, you know this deck, right? Like your basic gist is usually you go something like Zero into Lizard into Sauron, into Shuri, into Vision or Red Skull, into Taskmaster and Maw. And that's the gist of the playline. You have Typhoid as a backup plan if you Sauron, but don't Shuri. You can always Shuri and Red Skull if you don't see Sauron. And this one has like an absolute backup plan of like Luke and Armor or Luke and Lizard and so on. So there's lots of ways to go with this deck. It has a lot of play patterns. It's one of the stronger decks in the game, even if it's not particularly to my taste. The second deck is a lot more interesting to me. I'm going to tell you why. Like, it's one card. It's Taskmaster in this list. I had Taskmaster in mine, and I kept struggling because I insist. Like, I've played this exact list, except I have America Chavez in that last spot where this person has Taskmaster. Taskmaster is great here. You've got Forge and Hulkbuster to really get power on Deadpool. Some versions of this will run Nova as well, but if you can get Deadpool big enough or make a huge Venom, copying that with the Taskmaster at the end of the game is absolutely stellar, right? Like you can last turn drop both Deadpool and Taskmaster, or if after a Venom you can drop Taskmaster. You can Venom on 5 and then drop Taskmaster and then Deadpool after that. Death is dangerous, obviously, with all of the Mobius in the meta, but this deck doesn't rely on death. Death is a nice bonus that you can often get out early because you have a lot of things to kill. You've got your Forge, you've got your X23 for your energy spike, so you can sometimes null and Deadpool at the end of the game. You've got Wolverine to kill over and over again. And like because you're trying to get these cards big, you don't have to really worry about killing like a Deathlock or a Killmonger or anything like that with a Venom or a Carnage, because that's just yet more power for you, right? This deck is pretty cool. This is one of the better versions of this. We're going to look at a totally different version of this that's been kicking all sorts of butt on ladder later today, though. So make sure if you like Destroy, you check out later today. Hit that sub button. Next up, we have Rocco's top 4 deck. This is the deck Rocco is known for. It's the deck he won SnapCon with. This deck does not have a high win rate in anyone but Rocco's hands. Straight up. He has mastered and is an expert with this deck. What it fundamentally wants to do is get out a magic, then skip turn 6, and then go She-Hulk and Hulk. That's the gist, right? Like, if it does that, it wins the game usually. It's got Leech so that your opponent can't do anything to stop you, or Legion to make sure that the Limbo sticks around. The danger for that is Snow Guard, but Snow Guard, while dangerous, is less dangerous with the stupid bird costing 3. And that means that you're spending turn 5 or 6, a lot of that turn on that card, and then like Sunspot, Cyclops, and Misty can still just beat you on those turns, right? And Legion is a 5/7, so like there's a lot to like there. And then they have to play around Cosmo and all these other things. It ends up being really a pain in the butt. This deck is really good and it's really powerful, and everyone sort of stopped playing it, largely because Mobius makes She-Hulk dangerous. Fine. You still have a huge Hulk. You can still drop Hulk on 6 and She-Hulk on 7 just fine as a play pattern as necessary, should your opponent already have out a Mobius. Very, very powerful deck. Happy to see it back. I really don't like Leech decks, but like any extra deck that can join the meta because of a tournament, I think it has value. Now we have the Rocco Sacco. Rocco Sacco brought my 2 favorite of the decks. Outside of maybe one of the finalist decks, like the deck that Eva used to win, I think is extremely cool. But longtime viewers know that I'm a huge Phoenix Force stan. I got an Infinity Border with a different version of this deck earlier. This is, I want to say, card for card, the Spyro list. Spyro fundamentally decided to add Ghost Spider to the list and kick out the like Red Skull Taskmaster stuff and just say, okay, I've got a lot of consistency now. You better stop me. And the deck is sick. It's one of my favorite decks in all of Marvel Snap. It's basically you can kill Human Torch, move it around, and then Zola it. You can kill multiple men, and then you can bring it back with ideally a Forge also would be the best thing, right? Or you can forge multiple men and then kill it, and then you get like a million high power Phoenixes all over the board, because you can go Spider that too. Or you can just go Shuri Nimrod, and then you can go Venom, Carnage, Deathlock, etc. Or just try and Zola that damn Nimrod for a 50-50 if you're really unfavored, and you win a lot of games of Snap. It's completely nuts. Ghost Spider is the secret sauce. It's what I missed in this deck. Ghost Spider with that extra pull of multiple men that with Phoenix Force with that extra pull of Human Torch is really great. And Ghost Spider can basically pull a Nimrod away from an Alioth. So if it pulls Nimrod away from Alioth, then you can destroy it with full comfort and full power. And it's so much more power than Alioth. At that point, you just win the game. So this is one of my favorite decks in the game. I'm really happy to see it ranked this highly. I think this deck is completely legit, and people are still sleeping on it because Kiem posted a different version. I'm going to tell you straight, Kem's version is almost exactly my version. It's like 2 cards off. This version's better right now in the meta. It just has more play into the meta right now. It's more consistent. I'm talking down on my own deck, I'm aware, but like, look, this is better. I'm not going to pretend it's not. All right, next up, we have Mayhap's second place move 2. This is a standard move list. We've seen this list sort of all over the meta. Lately, it's one of the top 3 to 4 decks in Marvel Snap right now. I talked to Lamby about the tournament after the tournament. You should check out Lamby's Discord, by the way, if you're not on there. Super friendly, like some of the highest level players who are all willing to talk and help. This is one of the decks that he'd consider taking, right? Or a version of this, if not this exact one, because spoiler, Iron Lad could probably be America Chavez and improve the deck. because you really, really, really want to see your Elsa Craven. This kind of deck used to run Angela and Kitty, but now it really wants to end with Alioth or Doom, right? So those cards are gone. I had a version of this that runs Jean Grey yesterday that I like personally better than this. I think it's just straight up better. But what this deck really has going for it, I'm going to tell you the secret sauce to this version is Captain Marvel is so freaking good. Captain Marvel as a 4/7, if you can make it happen, is backbreaking. It's game winning. It's crazy good. If you can do that and then keep Creven in a different lane, you've got what amounts to a 4/9 Captain Marvel. It's just backbreaking and game winning. It's the spice that I really like about this deck. Again, I think Lad should probably be America, and I'm not 1,000% sure this really needs Mobius right now. Mobius is anti-Loki deck as much as it is anything. But here we are. It's a very powerful. Next up, we have Mayhap's other second place deck. This is the Shuri Kitty version. This is the deck I expect to see Mobius in, because anything that slows down your card play is really bad. I would expect Mobius in that Nightcrawler spot, but instead, this version goes all in on the power. It says no one's running wave. I can just go straight over the top. And look, spoiler, it kind of can. The Forge nerf was just a buff for this version. Kitty, it gets real big real fast with Forge. So you go Kitty on one, Kitty Forge on two, right? And now on three, you're like Elsa Kitty, and then like you're just trying to get that Kitty as big as possible so you can Taskmaster, so you can Shuri Kitty and then Taskmaster Kitty. But in the process, you can also pump up a 5-power Nightcrawler, a nice big Angela, and a 6-power Jeff, or you can just go all in on Kitty, or you can do an 11-power Vision with all these, with the Kitty growing. And there's just a lot of ways to put a massive amount of power on the board. And of course, you have Shuri Red Skull Taskmaster as a backup plan, which is one hell of a backup plan. This deck is extremely versatile. I'm happy to see it back at the top of the meta. I would like it noted. I think it's hugely important that, like, as of a week ago, this deck without Hulkbuster was fundamentally unheard of. You would not ever see this deck without Hulkbuster. Hulkbuster is gone now. I think the versatility of Nightcrawler and Jeff is what replaced it, so you don't have to go as all in on Kitty. So don't play this like you have to see Kitty or you die. Kitty is a great and powerful tool here, but not a necessity. You don't have to Taskmaster Kitty. Even Taskmastering an 11-power Vision is very often enough to win a game. I have a Zords list. We're going to get into deck guides here. I think this deck right here is likely the best deck in all of Marvel. It is the version of Elsa Bloodstone I play with one card different. I have a Luke Cage over Mirage, and I think Luke is probably best over Mobius. Mobius is, once more, tech for the mirror. But if your opponent is mirroring, you don't really want to give them their Mobius. So I think I'd rather have Luke than Mobius, but I'm warming up to Mirage in that other spot over Mobius/Luke. So this is the version of the deck I've been playing. It's completely silly. You feel insanely overpowered when you play it, and that's because Elsa and Loki are fantastic cards. And I know the pay to win comments are going to come because I'm saying that. Do me a favor. I posted a video last week that was like, "Is Alioth broken? Is Snap pay to win?" Before you yell at me, go watch that video. Make sure you check it out. Like, I think it gives some actual nuance to the argument instead of yelling, and I hate like internet yelling. That's not what we do here. So like skip it, watch the video with the explanation. This deck has 3 avenues for power that aren't Loki. Obviously playing their cards is powerful, right? But you can Kitty Angela for a ton of power. You can Collector and Collector with Mirage and Coulson, and Snowguard ends up reasonably big, and Maria ends up reasonably big. And then you've got Elsa, so you've got like your other cards getting +3 power, particularly good with Jeff and Kitty. And all of those offer you a chance to win. What I really like about Mirage is Mirage can hit one of 2 cards that fundamentally change the game. If Mirage on 2 hits an Elsa and you get a 2/4 Elsa, you are in such good shape. Or you get their Kitty that they took a turn off playing, and now you have a 1/3 Kitty and a head started on a second Kitty. Both of those are absolutely backbreaking plays to the opponent, so I really like Mirage. I think these decks have to now run Maria Hill. Maria Hill is stellar in that she can give you that Elsa, she can give you that Collector, she can give you that, like, all the 2s in this deck, or Luke or Falcon are completely nuts, or Sentinel are all great. So I think that this deck is unfreaking real. It's my pick for best deck in Snap. All right, this is a Loki deck. Don't play it without Loki. Uh, Kitty Pride and Elsa are in the best versions of this. Snowguard can be Agent 13. You lose a little bit of power. You're very rarely when the spirits cost 2, you played them all the time, but now you're very unlikely to play them because Quinjet had to go because Mobius is everywhere. Jeff can be a Nightcrawler without too much trouble. Mirage can be Sentinel, and if you're cutting Mobius, it's Luke or Falcon. For me personally, that is Luke's spot in the deck. All good? Let's keep it going. If you're not sure how to do this, let me know in the comments. I'll talk you through how to make the changes. It's not as good with any of these changes, right? Like that's why the deck is as it is with the cards, but it's still one of the best decks with any of these changes. All right. Turn 1, Maria is usually my priority, unless I have Collector already in hand. Then it's Kitty, then it's Snowguard. Snowguard I want to save for Collector, I want to save for right before. I also like to save Snowguard as a surprise. If they do any location nonsense, I want the mind game of I can mess with it. Turn 2, Collector is equal to Elsa. I'm not sure which I prefer. It depends what's in hand. I am definitely, if I have both, playing them both before Loki, almost no matter what. So I will ditch basically anything else to play Collector and Elsa. They are the power spikes for the deck. They are better than Angela, and Angela is better than all the others. Turn 3 is Coulson or a 2 and a 1. And again, remember, I'm getting out Collector and Elsa basically no matter what. I would generally prefer Coulson to a 2 and a 1 unless the 1 is drawing me a card if I plan to Loki. But next up, turn 4, I'm going to Loki. By the way, I'm snapping on Collector or Elsa if I have Loki. And if I have enough draw into Loki and I know I can Loki on 4, I'm also snapping. Loki and a 1 is my turn 4 play. Ideally, that's Maria or Snowguard. But if I've got a big Kitty because of Elsa, it'll be Kitty, and I'll just forego that extra card. Snowguard is better than Maria because it's an extra card for Loki. If you didn't see that and you went like, I don't know, Angela and Kitty on 3, then you go Coulson and Kitty on 4, and you're just fine. Now, turn 5, ideally you're playing the new cards. Turn 5 and 6 are the same concept. And that's better than Stuff Pumped by Elsa. And then Coulson card. Obviously, the order to that can change, right? So if your Coulson card is a Shang-Chi and they've got a naked red skull out, obviously that changes and pumps right up the order, right? But that's the general order for turn 5 and 6. Best deck and snap. Play it. All right, we're going to do what we always do here. This is my variants for this deck. Every deck you've seen so far this video, the variants in them are the variants I have and use. I switch between certain variants. If I have 2 I like, I, for example, have 2 Angelas I really like. Every other card here. And, sorry, like 3 Chavezes I am finding more and more use for. This is my favorite Kitty. I also have the not season pass one, the bundle one, the like Shadow Cat looking one. I like this one better. I love running through the wall with Lockheed. I've got the Noir Maria Hill and Coulson. I bought this Noir Coulson because I have this Noir Hill and I know they're in the deck together and I like the way they go together. The 6-pack Coulson does not feel like Coulson. And the other one I have the Chibi, and I don't like the Chibi. I don't love Chibi art as a rule. And I have the Pixel, which I used for a little while, but meh. I have the Spotlight Snowguard and this Snowguard. I like the childishness of this. I feel like it fits better with the rest of the deck. I have Anime Angela and like a couple other Angelas along with this one. I don't know why I'm in love with the ribbon for this one lately, so I've been running it. We've got our hips. Hips are the best art. This is a 4-hip deck, so Hip Collector, Hip Elsa, Hip Jeff, Hip Mobius. You'll love to see it. I bought this Mirage a couple weeks ago. I think it's the best Mirage. It feels very much like Mirage does to me in my childhood comic book reading days. This is my favorite Loki. I've forgone buying every other Loki because this is, I think, the best one. It feels the most Loki. It feels like the perfect mix between the MCU Loki and the comics Loki. It's appropriately sinister. I love it. And this is the America Chavez of America Chavez's to me. It's Jamie McKelvey, one of my favorite artists in all of comics. I also have the Pride Bundle one, which I like a lot with a gold background, but this doesn't even need a gold background because it already comes with a nice burst background. Big fan. So no base cards always makes. The second deck, the one that Eva actually used to win the final, as far as I'm aware. I was at the zoo with family. I usually make sure to watch these tournaments, but my wife made a million plans this week. So like I'm jamming my snap stuff in to make sure I get it. I talked to Lamby personally. I talked to people who watch the tournament to try and make sure I got you the best information possible for all of these things. Um, can speak to Eva. Eva's English is good, but he's also Brazilian, and I feel like I shouldn't be bothering him after he just played a massive tournament. So here we are. Um, the first place deck. This is crazy because I mean it's a Man Thing deck, right? Like it's not a deck that runs Man Thing. It's a Man Thing deck. It says basically, I know you're going to try and get big, and I'm going to be able to get big using Elsa, and I'm going to protect my stuff with Luke, and then I'm going to take away your bigness with Man Thing and Shadow King. Man Thing, from what I've been told, is very often a 4/9 or 4/11 in this deck. If he's a 4/9 or 4/11, that's Starkhawk. If he's not hurting you because you're running Luke, so much the better. There is a decent amount of Shadow King in this tournament, so Luke offers that protection, Luke offers the location protection, and Luke offers the Man Thing protection. But like Man Thing doesn't have to go in a lane that has a lot of cards. Like if you go, I don't know, Elsa, Nightcrawler, Elsa into whatever, right? Like turn 3, you play Luke, and then turn 4 you can drop Man Thing on there, or turn 4 you end up dropping 2/2s, and then turn 5 you don't have vision. You can just drop Man Thing in a lane that they were trying to compete in, thinking they're safe, and you weaken all their stuff, and then like turn 6 Shadow King along with something else is perfectly fine, right? Or turn 6 Man Thing and Shadow King, where they have their Elsa. You take away all their bonuses from the Elsa, and then your Man Thing just wrecks the face off that whole lane. It's extremely, extremely powerful. You also, of course, have the standard play at this point of make an 11 power vision, move the 11 power vision where you want, then make an 8 power doom with 2 5 power doom bots. Wins a lot of games of Snap. What this is replacing, which I think is extremely cool, is Alioth. Um, Alioth has become predictable, right? Like we know how to play around Alioth. Jeff beats Alioth. Silk beats Alioth. Doom beats Alioth. So this is built to beat Alioth, but it also won the final. Where Man Thing, it was extremely strong. That is so cool to see because I did not expect this card to be good. We're gonna look at a 70% win rate Man Thing deck this afternoon too, so make sure you don't miss that. I think Man Thing might just be a good card. I think what we were doing wrong the first few days is we were trying to build Man Thing decks. Man Thing seems like it's a good stuff card. It's which we should have seen. I personally should have seen because I've long argued Spider-Man 2099 is a good card because it's usually a 4/11 or so. So is Man Thing, right? Like that's the power of Darkhawk, and we know how good Darkhawk has been forever. Both of these cards having that power is extremely powerful and should be treated as. All right. You need Elsa for this. Silk and Jeff are pretty needed, but Cloak can maybe be one. And Man Thing can go for America or Alioth if you. Turn 1 Nightcrawler, turn 2 Elsa's better than Craven, and then all the others. Turn 3 Spidey or just another 2. Turn 4 is 2/2s if you have Elsa to finish that lane, or to pump Craven, or you can just drop Man Thing just fine. Turn 5 Vision or Spidey into 2. If you Spidey and Luke here, then a turn 6 of Man Thing and Shadow King is fantastic. You can also drop Spidey and your Shadow King that turn just fine. If you want to turn 6 Doom, turn 6 is usually Doom, but sometimes it's Vision, and sometimes it is Man Thing and Shadow King, or Man Thing and I guess Luke could be the case. So all of these are so strong as far as plays go. I could not urge you to try this more. The version of this yesterday that I posted, like this deck is whatever you do with these last few spots, one of the best decks in all. Like this is the class of Snap. This and Loki, I think, are the like tier 1 of tier 1 decks. They're the closest we have to S tier decks, with like Shuri a touch below and probably Destroy and Phoenix a touch below that. But like, oh, and Bounces right in there, even though it didn't really even make the top 8, and Thanos. Those are like all the best decks, but this is like the top of the meta. You need to play versions of this deck. They are stellar. Cool. All right. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much to the competitors and Lamby for letting me get that information out there. Make sure you hit that sub button. Please don't forget that coming later this week with the anniversary of Snap. We have both a giveaway and Glenn Jones coming on the podcast. So make sure you sub. Make sure you like and comment to help us out. Spread the word. We appreciate you. Check back later today for 2 more decks. Peace.